Hi, Room 10. Today, in celebration of the end of our unit where we were learning to tell time, we are going to be making folk art clocks. So you're going to get to make your own clock, not a real clock, a folk art clock. So many years ago, I was reading a newspaper, it was the Los Angeles Times to be exact, and I saw this article. And it was all about a street art project where somebody was making art and they decorated their street. Now, this is a street in Michigan because we don't have snow in Los Angeles, so this is definitely not Los Angeles. What caught my attention in this photo was this clock right here, and I'm going to be sending you a close-up photo of this, so you'll get to see it much closer. But it caught my attention, and then I noticed, looking at it really closely, there were a lot of clocks in the background that this artist had painted and put up on the street. And at the time, my students were learning about telling time. They were learning how to tell time, and I thought, oh, we should make these clocks. And I think they're really cool. They're folk art because what folk art means is it's art that is made by just a regular person. It's not somebody who is a trained artist. They are just making art because they like to make art and they're not trained particularly. So this is folk art, and I thought my class can do this. So I've been doing this with my classes for the last few years. And what I would do is I would give my students a piece of cardboard. Sometimes it was even a piece of cardboard like this. And I would give them paint, and I was super strict about the way that they were supposed to put together. Like, you had to start with the base coat and everything. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that this year because I can't give you a piece of cardboard. I can't give you paints. So we're going to kind of open it up and do some different things with it. So I have my notes here. I want to make sure I get everything. So you're going to make your own folk art clock, but you are going to use your own supplies. So if you have a piece of cardboard, you could totally use that. Look at, I even used the back of a cereal box. Or if you just have a piece of paper, you can use a piece of paper. That's perfectly fine. If you have paints and you want to use paints, totally cool. Or you can use crayons or markers or colored pencils or pastels or any other type of coloring medium that you have. So anything is going to be fine. So I'm going to kind of take you through the steps of what you are going to do. You're going to take your paper or cardboard, whatever you have, and I want you to start with a pencil. Now, we're using a pencil so that you can erase if you make any mistakes. I'm going to do it on the whiteboard, so I'm going to use my whiteboard marker, but you use a pencil that just makes it easier for you. And I'm going to show you step by step what you need to do. So first off, you can hold your paper either vertically. I mean, here's an example. That's an example of vertical. This one is an example of horizontal. You can do it that way. Maybe if you have a square piece of paper, it won't matter which direction you do it. But you're going to take that. So I'm going to pretend this is my paper. That's a vertical one. I'm going to do a horizontal one just to show you. Now the art, and when I was really picking class, I always made them do a square clock, even though the numbers are kind of in that circular form. If you want to draw a circle inside, you totally can. If you want to do this to kind of help you out, that's fine. Or you don't have to. I'm going to leave mine without the circle in the middle. So let me redraw my paper. Now, you're using a pencil. And I'm going to give you some tips because what happens when kids go to make a clock, they do this. Uh-oh, what's wrong? We know there's only 1 through 12, but there's a big gap here. We don't want that to happen, so I'm going to show you a way to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's a super quick way to ever just draw an analog clock if you need to. So I want you to take your pencil, and at the top you're going to put the 12, because that's where the 12 is. At the bottom, you're going to put the 6, because that's where the 6 is. Then you stop. Next step. You're going to put the 9, and straight across, you're going to put the 3. Stop. This is all still with pencil, so you can erase if you get a little off. So you've only put in 4 of the numbers. Now, you get to add in the other numbers, and it'll kind of even them out so that they're in about the right place. It won't be perfect, but that's okay. Folk art clocks do not need to be perfect. So you're going to go 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My 9 is already there. 10, 11, and that makes it pretty even. Same thing if you're going to do it on a horizontal one. These ones are a little trickier, I have to tell you, to make them horizontal, but it still works. I've done it before. So you would go 12, 6, then 9, 3, then you just fill in the other numbers. And that way you make sure you leave enough space for everything, and you don't have any big gaps between the numbers. Whoops, get my notes again. So now you're going to want to put in a time. So you're going to put a circle in the middle. That's sort of where the hands are going to be connected. I do have a rule about the time. You're going to make the time either to the hour or the half hour only. So you might do 1 o'clock, 2:30, 7 o'clock, 5:30. I will warn you, be careful if you do 12 o'clock, because keep in mind the hands are both facing the same direction. They're both pointing at the 12, so you're going to have to think about how you would want to make those so you can see both of the hands. Now, with these clocks, there are no arrows on the end. That was just the way they were in the picture from the newspaper article. If you want to put arrows on the end, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But you're going to decide on your time. Okay, I'm going to do one for 1 o'clock. So, for 1 o'clock, I know that the minute hand, which is super long, is going to be pointing at the 12. And the hour hand would be pointing at the 1, but the hour hand has to be shorter. So make sure I can tell that the hour hand is shorter. So see, that would be 1 o'clock. Over here, if I wanted to make it, let's say 4:30, the minute hand goes all the way down to there. Now it's trickier on these because that's really short. Then we don't want the hour hand to be right at the 4. It's between the 4 and the 5. There we go. So once you have made your clock and you've set your time to the hour and the half hour, you get to color. And like I said, I'm not being picky. In the past, I only allowed 3 colors. You had black, and like this one is black and white and yellow. This one was going to be orange and black and white. This one was orange and yellow and black. I was very picky. I'm letting you use as many colors as you want. I have a couple of tips for you. If you want to do bubble letters like we have here, here's how we did bubble letters when we painted. You don't have to draw them as bubble letters. If you just take and you make your numbers nice and thick with your marker, all you have to do is take another marker or crayon and you can outline it, and it kind of creates the illusion that you made bubble letters, or it kind of does create bubble letters. You can totally do it that way. We put borders around them. You can totally put a border around yours too. My last tip for you is, if you do decide to use paint, which you don't have to, if you have paint at home and you decide to use that, don't get the paper, or especially the cardboard, too wet. So you don't want to put a lot of wet paint on it because it will warp and it'll make the paper bend, whatever you're using. So kind of just have a light touch with that. Okay, so you are going to be making your own folk art clock today. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. You guys are so artistic. I want you to please have your grown-up take a picture of it and send it to your Google folder so I can see it. I love this art project. I can't wait to see what you do. Have fun telling time. Bye.